point number 5. Monitor fish aggression and don't introduce predators with prey. Now this seems obvious, but just consider that any fish that can fit another fish in its mouth is probably going to do it. All fish are opportunists, so therefore the main thing you need to do is make sure the fish don't fit in the mouth of your biggest fish, and you're pretty well safe. Also, it's a very, very good idea if you don't know your fish well, to every time you're going to buy fish, have yourself your fish list with your wish list. So a wish list is basically the fish that you'd really like to have, and your fish list is the fish you got. So when you go into the aquarium, you can say, look, these are the fish I've got, and make sure you're not going to go home with a clown trigger. Otherwise you're going to have a really happy clown trigger, and you're going to have no other fish. And to make sure that the fish are actually going to be compatible. And also we want to be concerned about when the fish go in. So that's why a wish list is everything. What I encourage you to do, if you're starting up a new aquarium, go on the internet, get books, and just make yourself up this whopping big list of fish you'd love to have. Then bring the list into me, and I can sit down with you and say, well, if you have that one, you can't have that one, and you must say, well, I want that one. Because you're choosing between the ones you can have. And then I go through and cross out all the ones that you can't have because they don't go together. Then there'll be other considerations like which ones are going to eat coral. Then there'll be other considerations like when should you put them in. So for example, let's say that you add a yellow tang to your aquarium, and then 2 months later you want to add a purple tang. You're probably going to have all sorts of problems. Whereas if you considered it in the first place, your best option with most fish is to put any tangs you want at one time. Any angels you want at one time. Any clownfish you want at one time. So this is going to require just at least a little bit of planning. So you know that you can ring us up and say, hey, look, what I'm chasing is one of these. And then we'll know when to put them in. Because if you add an angel now, and then in 6 weeks later you try and add another angel, quite often the angel that's established in the aquarium will pick on the new angel. Whereas it doesn't care about a tank. So just bear that in mind. So creating a wish list is a really good idea. So the only point there is monitor aggression and don't introduce predators with prey. So other than that, it's all a matter of you watching. So you sit down, and also with fish aggression, you cannot judge a fish's aggression by watching the fish tank like this. Because when you're there, the fish know that you're there. And you would be surprised how differently fish will act when they think you're not there. So often, my fish, when I'm here, they're trying to get my attention, they want food, I'm something for them to look at, I'm something to distract them. But then I sit down behind the lounge or whatever and I'm not moving and they're sort of forgetting that I'm there, and then I watch the fish and I can notice totally different behavioural characteristics. So when you're watching your fish for aggression, you're doing it from the other side of the room and you're trying to not draw their attention, and if not, even think that they don't know you're there. Because a dominant fish will often not act dominant in your presence. Then that fish, which is usually just swimming around minding his own business, looking at you trying to get food, then he goes off and starts beating up all the rest of your fish. And so often, someone thinks that there's something wrong with their aquarium because they're losing a fish here or they're losing a fish there, and it's just because the fish, their stress levels are never able to really settle because they're getting beaten up all the time. It's the same as, let's say you moved into a new neighbourhood and the neighbour next door never has his Doberman or his Rottweiler in the backyard. And you've got to get out of your car and run to the front door and hope that you don't get attacked by his Rottweiler. It's very, very stressful. You're not going to settle in too well. And that's exactly the same with the fish. And be very careful of something that I talk about in the DVD, which is called the damsel trap. Now the damsel trap is an idea which is basically, you get your first fish and it's a really hardy, robust, tough little fish like a damsel, and then it claims the fish tank. And then you add new fish into the aquarium, and though once again you're not noticing it because you're not watching them from a distance, one by one all the new fish you're getting are getting killed. And what you don't know is those fish are systematically being attacked by an aggressive fish. So it's really important for you to be looking out for aggressive fish. And remember that fish can die to an aggressive fish and be scarless, and not one single scar on their body. And it's because the fish might not actually be attacking them, it might be just chasing them around. And it's chasing them around enough to keep their immune system dormant and keep their stress levels elevated. And when a fish is stressed, the fish is stressed, the fish is stressed, the fish is stressed, it often just drops dead. And it will just drop dead. And you go, but he was fine yesterday. But he wasn't fine yesterday at all. It's because he's having to exert all of his energy into his respiration system and how alert he is and all the rest of it. And maybe his lungs have given up, or his gills have given up, or whatever. One of the other systems in his body have just collapsed because there's only a certain amount of energy that fish actually has. So, monitor fish aggression, which is what I was talking about, and don't introduce predators with prey.